Hello guys, welcome to Online Web Tutor presented by Profotech Solutions team. I am Sanjay. In this video session, we will learn about WordPress custom registration form tutorial for beginners. In the last video session, we had seen that how can we create a custom login form, as well as we have customized the default login system of WordPress for tutorials in Scratch. Okay, so we will see that WordPress custom registration form tutorial just in a single video. Okay, so let's get started about WordPress custom registration form. And also guys, if you're a beginner from this video session, then I strongly recommend that please watch our previous video session to make your WordPress custom technical skills in a deep. Okay, so let's get started about custom registration form. So basically we have to follow some points to do our task. Okay, so what are those points? Let's have a look at some of the conceptual points that I have written for you. These are the points that we have to follow to make our work achievable. First, we have to create a WordPress page. Second, we have to create a template in themes folder. Assign that template what we have created in step number 2 to the page created in step number 1. Do registration form to our template file, means we have to make a custom form in this template file what we have made, and apply form data validations. While submitting form to the server, we need to validate our data. Okay, and finally after validation, if there is no error, then finally we have to create a user for that. And after creating user, the user will go into the WP users table. Okay, this is our database we are using right now, and WP users table contains the users informations. Okay, all the registered users in our WP setup. So after validating the user's credentials, or you can say user data, the finally user has been created and the user will be inserted in WP users table. Okay, so now let's go ahead and make a first step, that is create a WordPress page. Okay, step by step we will start and do our custom registration form in WordPress. So first of all, we have to make a custom WordPress page. So just click on pages, add new, and create a registration form. Okay, or you may say registration. Okay, just click on publish, and finally we have created our page. Just click on this permalink to see this page, and here is the page what we have created. Okay, right now there is no content inside it. Let's make a template file inside our themes folder, what actually the second point says. Okay, so just go to our themes folder first. So this is our themes folder. Just click on themes, and right now we are currently activated 2017 theme. Okay, just click on that, and within this template means with directory, we need to create a template file. Okay, so I have made setup here in NetBeans WordPress themes 2017. Okay, and now just I am going to create a template file inside 2017. Just click on that. So let's make the file name actually in small case. Okay, rename it, and see here is small, and R will be also small. Okay, so we have renamed and we have created our custom registration template page. So let's assign a template name for this. So what we have made, we have created custom registration page inside our themes folder, and we have assigned template name as the keyword to create a custom template. Okay, and now the third point says that we need to assign this template to our created WordPress page. Okay, so this is our WordPress page that we have created, and we need to assign the created template to this page. Just refresh this page once more, and now in the template section, okay, just click on this. You can see custom registration page what we have created. Okay, just click on that and assign this template to this page. Okay, we have assigned that page. Just go ahead and refresh this page. You will see nothing appears because we have assigned successfully. Okay, so let's check by making some content here. Okay, you can see that this is the content that we have written inside our template file. Okay, finally we have attached our template file to this page. Finally, the next point says is that we need to do the registration form code to our template file. Means we need to make a registration form inside that template. Okay, so just make a form for that. Here it's username. Okay, enter username. So we have created our first field, that is taking username from the user. Okay, so we have made with the help of input text box. To save our time guys, I have made a form for that. So just go ahead and copy this code. Let me explain about each section of this input field in a deep. Okay, so just get rid of that and paste all the forms that I have made for you. So this is the form that I have created to save our time. First, as you can see, it's taking username. Okay, it's type text and placeholder. Okay, simple form that we have created. And the second, it takes the username, sorry, email from the user, and type email should be. Okay, and txt email is the name key. As well as we have created two different fields for password, like enter password and confirm password. Okay, so just rename this confirm password, and it should be type password. Okay, so we have created four different fields like username, email, password and confirm password. Okay, so we have created four different fields to this form. Okay, so we need to validate this form while submitting to the server. Okay, so let's submit this form while in without making any validation to it. Okay, and the form method should be post. Okay, so this is the form that we have created. Now I'm going to submit this form, and also I have to make a button, submission button here inside this form. So input type, so finally this is the form that we have created so far. Okay, so as you can see here, now we need to attach header and footer section for this form of WordPress. Okay, so to do that we need to use get header and get footer function of WordPress. Okay, so get footer function is to include WordPress footer, as well as we have get header function to include the header section of WordPress. Okay, so to just save your file, go to browser and refresh this page. You can see that we have included our header section, okay, and as well as our footer section with this our custom form. Okay, so now we have to do the form validation for this form what we have created. Okay, because we are going to register this user to this database table. Okay, so while submitting this user, we need to validate all these fields individually. Okay, so to validating this form, let's have a look at what are the required points we need to validate this user while submitting this form to database. Okay, so to validation process, we need to check these 6 points. First, the username should not have by space within that. Okay, means when we enter any username to this form, means to this input box, then we need to check that username has no space within that. Okay, and the second point says that the username must has a value, means it should not be the empty value. Okay, obviously if we are going to create a user in database table, then we need to check that user login, means username should not have empty values. Okay, and the third thing is that username existence, as well as we have to check that if we are going to register this user to this database table, then we need to check that user already exists or not. If it exists, then we need to restrict the user while creating that user. Okay, and the next point says that the email we are entering into this input box is valid or not. If it is not valid, then we need to give a message to the user that email is not valid. Okay, means a valid email should be registered to this database table, okay, under this user email section. And the next point says that email existence, obviously we need to check that this email is already exists in database table or not. If it exists, then we need to give a message to the user that this email is already exist in the database table. Okay, so these are the validation related with username and email. Finally, we need to check the password and confirm password match. Okay, means if password and confirm password match, then we need to pass this form to the server. Otherwise, we have to give these error messages to the user. Okay, so these are the validations, guys, that we need to give to our custom form to validate the user. If all these 6 points passes successfully, then in that condition we need to create our custom user to the database table. Okay, so let's go ahead to our custom form and we need to validate all these points step by step. Okay, so all we have done, we have created this form, as you can see. Now we have to do our validation to submit this form. Okay, so let's get started about validation. So if I am writing if post. Okay, now we have submitted our form to database table. Okay, and now we need to check. So before applying any validation, let's read all the values inside our form submission. Okay, so first let's have a look at username. So this is the name attribute txt username, as you can see we have supplied to this form. Okay, and now we have to use a global object wpdb. Okay, and we have used a escape method for that, which actually checks the valid values of txt username or not. Okay, so we have successfully read our username from this input text box, and now let's read email for that. Successfully we have collected email value also. Okay, so let's collect password. And finally we need to collect our confirm password too. Okay, so just make it confirm password. Okay, and the name attribute of confirm password, as you can see, txt confirm password. So just copy this name and paste it here. So all we have done now, we have collected our 4 different values from our custom registration form. Okay, so let's apply first validations. What we have seen inside that username has no space inside it. Okay, as you can see, this is our first point. Okay, we need to check the username has no space value. So just copy this step, go to your form, and let's apply if. String position, guys, strpos is a PHP function which checks the position of this applied second character inside that. So I have passed a space. Okay, as you can see, so we need to check that username has a space value or not. If is not equal to false, it means the true value returned by this function. It means our space is there. Okay, so we need to restrict the user while entering any space value inside this tag. So let's make an error array of that. Okay, so that we can store our error messages inside this variable. Okay, so just make a username space key. Okay, this is the key, guys. According to your need, you need to supply inside this array, and let's pass a message that like username has empty value, no space. Okay, so this is the message that I have just assigned this key array like username space. Okay, means there existence of space inside this username. Let's check another that username has no empty value. Okay, username, if username has empty value, then we need to supply error messages like the keys username empty, needs username must. Okay, means we need a username obviously to register our user. Okay, so these are the messages we need to store in our key. So we have validated successfully our 2 points. First, we have checked our space inside username. Also, we have checked username has empty values or not. Okay, and now the third thing we need to use about username existence. Okay, as you can see, username existence. So this is a WordPress function, guys. If you go to the documentation section of username exists, then you could find a method inside username existence, as you can see, into the documentation section. Okay, so check whether the given username exists or not. Means if we pass any string value inside this function, then it checks the user existence from DB table. If it exists, then it returns true, otherwise returns false. Okay, so you can read false the user ID on success, means false on failure. Okay, so let's use this function to our form. Okay, so just go up and copy this function name, and let's check if username exists, and this is the username that we need to check. Okay, so just pass this variable inside that, and if username exists. Okay, so let's pass username exists as a key and write a message that username already exists. Okay, so this is the message that I have stored inside that key, that username exists. Okay, and now the next thing we need to check that the email is valid or not. Okay, so to do that we need to use is email. Okay, this is the WordPress function, guys, that after taking email, okay, it checks that it has a valid email or not. Okay, so just before using that, if you go to the documentation section of is email, then you can find a good resource inside that link. Okay, verifies that an email is valid or not. We need to pass email string inside that function. Okay, so if you go to scroll down, then we need to check that email address to verify and return false, or means boolean value, either true or false. Okay, so let's check is valid. Now let's take exclamation sign means the email is not valid. Okay, so in that condition we need to store our message like email valid. Okay, and email has no valid value inside that. Okay, so this is the email. We have checked that email is valid or not. So let's check the another step is that email exists. Okay, if the email already exists inside our database table, then it returns true, otherwise false value. Okay, so just copy this function. And before using this function, guys, if you go to the documentation section and read a good doc, inside that link email exists, check whether the given link email exists or not. Okay, so we will use this function to check our email existence. Okay, so let's use that function. If email exists, and we need to pass our email variable inside that. Okay, so if email already exists, okay, so let's check email existence. Okay, email already exists. Okay, we have validated our string position inside username. Also we have checked username has value or not, username exists, email valid or not, and as well as email existence. Okay, so step by step we have applied all these validations instead of the last one, that is password matched or not. So let's go ahead and another validation. So txt password, okay, equal to its txt confirm password. Okay, if these two values are not equal, so let's go ahead and use strcmp. Okay, this is a PHP function which basically checks the two given string are has same value or not. Okay, so we need to check that confirm password or txt password means both these passwords are same or not. If it returns equal to 0 means values has not matched to each other, then we need to store a error message inside that password. Okay, and we have to store message like password didn't match. Okay, so step by step, guys, we have seen that how can we validate our form from our user existence to our password validation. Okay, so step by step we have applied all these validations one by one. Okay, so let's go ahead and print our error message, error variable. Okay, and it's an array. So let's go ahead to our custom form what we have made. Okay, so without emptying entry means putting any values to this form, let's go ahead and submit this form. So just click on that. As you can see, first error message has given username empty. Okay, needed username must, as well as email valid, email has no valid. Okay, so these two values are we are getting. So after passing this value means we need to check the count of this error variable. If count of error equal to 0 means obviously we know that when any error occurs inside this form, then this array has some value. Okay, because we have declared error as a variable of array. Okay, so if the count is 0 means there is no error inside that, so we need to create a user for that in that condition, because our form has passed successfully all the validation. Okay, so to create a user in database table in WordPress setup, we need to use the function called wp create user. Okay, as you can see, wp create user, here we need to pass our username, password and email. So these are the things that we need to pass while creating our user. Okay, so just go ahead and copy this name and put inside this count. Okay, so we need to pass, the first thing is a username. Okay, and the second thing is that password. Okay, and the third thing is email. So email. Okay, so these are the variables that we have collected from our form. We have validated this before creating user, and finally we need to create that user. Okay, and a message there like user created successfully, okay, and exist in that condition. So successfully guys, we have validated we have made a form, we have validated, and finally we need to check that any error has actually error variable contains or not. If it does not contain any error value, then we need to create a user in that condition. Okay, so just go ahead and refresh this page once more. So let's say just, and also we need to validate guys that if it contains count equal to greater than 1, then echo a message like all fields, or just simply print all error messages that actually we have stored inside error variable. Okay, so we have done now. So just refresh this page and let's click on submit button without putting any values. Then we can say username empty. So let's pass about Sanjay as a username, email as sanjay11@gmail.com, and password something like Sanjay and admin as my confirm password. Okay, so just click on submit. As you can see, password didn't match, obviously because in the first password input field we have passed a password called Sanjay, and in the second section we have passed admin. Okay, so let's pass all valid values inside that. Okay, so let's pass Sanjay as a password and confirm password is also Sanjay. So just click on submit. You can see user created successfully. Okay, so just go ahead to our database and refresh this WP users table once more. You can see that the Sanjay has successfully created to our database table. Okay guys, so we have created a custom user form, we have validated our form, as well as we have created our user successfully to our database. Okay, so all we have seen is step by step. So let's log out this user and check about the credentials what we have written inside for Sanjay as a user. Okay, so let's open another incognito symbol and just put that URL what we have copied and enter that. So let's enter the credential for the Sanjay user what we have created from our custom form. Okay, the username should be Sanjay and the password is Sanjay. Just click on login. As we can see, we have successfully logged into our WordPress database admin panel. Okay, so one more thing guys that I want to tell you that if you are creating a user form or custom form, then according to the user role actually the dashboard decides which interface actually a user see after logging. Okay, so if you go to the registration form, okay, just go to the user section, okay, of admin, because we have logged in as an admin. Okay, so you can see that two users created right now. First the admin is itself and the second the user. Okay, just click on that. So you will see that while scrolling the user has the role of subscriber. Okay, so if the user has a author or administrator permission, then in the administrator condition it actually sees all the fields, as you can see, all the menus and the WP menu bar, and as all the interfaces for this admin panel. Okay, but right now the Sanjay user has existence as a subscriber, so dashboard filters and it actually shows the subscriber dashboard. Okay, so it's a homework for you guys that you need to decide that while creating any user from your custom form, how could actually store the user role also. Okay, so it's a homework for you, how can we assign the user role while creating a user inside your WP custom form. Okay, so step by step guys, we have seen all steps we need to follow actually creating our custom user in WordPress setup. Okay guys, so if you are beginner guys from this video session, then you can also watch our previous video session like where we did custom login in WordPress, as well as we have customized the WordPress default login system, and also we have made several video sessions about WordPress. Okay guys, so if you have any query regarding this video session guys, then just drop your comment. I will give my reply as soon as possible. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day.